Boston Celtics get the win in game one. Wasn't pretty, but they held on. And I think Marcus Smart is back to his normal self, which means the Celtics could be back to being a defense-first team. We're going to talk about it all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team. Step back, we gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I'm here for you every day. Bonus podcast today because the Boston Celtics played a basketball game, first game of the playoffs, here at the TD Garden, where I am, and those of you watching on YouTube, apologize, kind of limited to where I am. So this, I promise you, this gray curtain behind me is actually at the TD Garden, but I am the Celtics are playoff ready. I don't seem to be because I forgot my lights. I forgot my camera. I just not ready for this road setup. But I'm here to podcast from the Garden for you after the Boston Celtics 112-99 win. So you regular subscribers, welcome back. You new listeners, new watchers. Normally I'm a Monday through Friday podcast. This is a bonus podcast after game one. I want to thank everybody for subscribing. This is available wherever you get your podcasts. It's on YouTube. Watch the show there. And today I'm going to bring in my good friend, Tom_NBA, Tom Westerholm. Tom, Celtics get the win, up 30 at one point. And I thought this was going to be a 30-point win. I was saying before the game. I felt so good about the Celtics coming in here and taking all of the, hey, you play down to your competition kind of stuff. They're going to come out and they're going to prove a point. And I thought game two was going to be where they relaxed. Maybe they just got all of this out of their system where they just did it two halves of a game because they were up 30 at halftime. And then they just kind of cruised to a 13-point win.
Yeah, I really think when you kind of look at the way this game went, I really think they would have been better off if they were up by 14 at halftime, and then they were up by 19 at the end of the third quarter, and then they were up by 30 at the, you know what I mean? That really that feels like the formula for the Celtics actually blowing a team out from start to finish is just building slowly. Because when you jump out to that big lead, I don't even know that it's a Celtics specific thing. I actually really think across the league, these leads are so hard to keep. The other team is so good. The shooters on any other team in the NBA are going to be able to knock down shots. And it's just you let go of the rope at all, including the very natural little bit that you let go with a 30-point lead. That's a recipe for what was that? A 32-12 stretch that the Hawks went on for a while there. That it's just set up for that when you get that lead in the first half. So, for me, not a huge surprise, but like you said, they went up big, they cruised the rest of the way. The only thing that carries over to game two is a 1-0 lead. So if I'm the Celtics, I'm
that's it.
All right, 1-0. It is what it is.
It is. That's right. And it's, you asked the question after the game. I asked the question after the game. Is there any level of concern that you weren't able to keep it going? And I know the answer is no, there's no level of concern. But at the same time, you say, hey, man, you're up by 30.
Yeah.
You'd rather it stay 30 or 25 or even 20. You can understand that.
Yeah.
But, the fact that it got so quickly down to, oh, wait a second, this isn't going to be fourth quarter garbage time. Oh, we realize that. But,
Jayson Tatum's going to play all 12 minutes in the fourth quarter.
Yes. And so, the way I put it on after the game there, by the way, I didn't introduce myself because I don't know why. Once I podcast on a Saturday, I throw all my scripts out. I'm John Karalis.
You forgot those at home with your lights and your backgrounds and everything else.
Jeez, man. You'd think this was the January game and not the playoffs. I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. So I wrote on Boston Sports Journal that not ideal, but not a big deal that they didn't hold on to that 30-point lead. What is it? Brad Stevens always says, like, there's nothing scarier to a coach than an early big lead, because especially in the NBA, and you're right, especially in today's NBA, the Atlanta Hawks, who I don't think are all that good overall, are still a top 5 offense.
Yeah.
They still have guys who can score and pass and go up for lobs and make plays. Like, they're still a playoff team.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, we do have to expect, you go into the half up 30 and everything was going right for the Celtics. I mean, every little thing was just working for them. And you come out in the beginning of the third quarter, and even then, they still the Hawks cut the lead, and Celtics brought it right back up to 20, and you felt pretty good. And even in the fourth quarter, the Celtics got it back up to 20. So a lot of the post-game reaction of like, oh, here they go, letting go of the rope again, it was still a 20-point fourth quarter lead that the Hawks cut into and ended up being a 13-point lead. Before the game, I looked at the spread and it said it's a 10-point spread. I'm like, oh my God, it's a 10-point spread. And the Celtics covered it. So I think the first thing, like, out of the gate is game 1 of the playoffs. You won by 13. The defense looked amazing. And that, to me, even though the offense stalled in the second half and they scored, 38 points or something like that in the second half, not really that much of a concern, is because the defense was there throughout. And I think it's a good game 1 win.
Not just the defense was there the whole time. Every single matchup that, if you watched any film at all before the series, every single matchup held up. Like, literally the only one that didn't hold up was Sam Hauser. Like he just, he went like 0 for 2. Like, every other game this year, he killed the Hawks, right? Like, every single other matchup. Trae Young against anybody on the Celtics. DeJounte Murray against Jayson Tatum. Most of the team against John Collins. Like, these matchups offensively that you were like, okay, this is probably going to be a bucket if the Celtics attack this guy. It was like, honestly, it's just kind of that simple. Like, the defense looked really good and the matchups are what we thought they might be. And like, here we are, 1-0. Like, I don't know. I mean, before the series, I did not think that this was going to be a long one. I have seen absolutely nothing to dissuade me from that opinion, despite what DeJounte Murray may have to say. I just think this is a really, really difficult matchup for the Hawks. Like, the Celtics are a difficult matchup for a lot of teams, but I think the Hawks specifically, like the reliance that they have to have on Trae Young. I mean, when he came back into the game late in the fourth quarter, I was like, oh, okay, so the Celtics, they just have another target back out there. Like, I know he can hit threes, but like, it just makes everything so simple offensively. It just makes every pick and roll that they run Trae Young through into it, that just makes it just all, it's much smoother. Everything is much smoother like offensively for the Celtics when Trae Young is in the game. So I think it on both ends, the Celtics really showed why. I mean, they're just the superior basketball team.
Absolutely. And defensively, what my biggest takeaway I thought today was Marcus Smart. Oh my God. Marcus Smart back to defensive player of the year level. And the Celtics defense overall was just great, except for stretches in the third quarter. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about that in just a minute. First, I want to talk about eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With the eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know if the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, Confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. So I want to thank everybody for making Locked On Celtics your first listen. We'll get back to more game analysis tomorrow. So this is publishing Saturday night. Sunday night, we'll record the Monday podcast. So we'll dive into the game film. We'll get into some more breakdown there. So make sure you're subscribed to get this podcast directly to your device and watch the show on YouTube. Tom, Marcus Smart made some of the most amazing plays I've seen him make in a long, long time, including one of the best defensive plays I've seen him make ever. Okay, so the chase down blocks are the highlights, and the chase down blocks are awesome. Every chase down block is good effort, but hey, good effort, good timing, you get the block shot. That's great. The play he made in the second quarter on Onyeka Okongwu, where he sniffed out, first of all, in a course of 4 seconds, he switched onto Okongwu because who was cross-matched on Malcolm Brogdon. He turns around to switch with Sam Hauser, but realizes Sam Hauser is being picked off. So then he turns on the Jets, and as he is now following Okongwu, realizes, oh, this is a lob, because he sees how the play has developed. He realizes the back screen, and he kicks it into another gear, turns at the right time, kind of like a cornerback getting in front of a wide receiver and batting down the pass, and starts the break. And on top of it, he gets down the court to bail out Malcolm Brogdon on the other end. That play, the recognition, the decisions, the adjustment, the timing is one of the absolute best defensive plays you're going to see any guard anywhere make at any time. And Smart making that play was just awesome. He promised a lot of people, like I got an interview with him, and he said a lot of the same things to a lot of us. He's not happy with his performance during the course of the regular season. The playoffs are going to be different, and this defensive performance from Smart was different.
I mean, he's really spectacular on that end. I mean, this is not, some kind of breaking analysis. I mean, the block shot, it was funny when I first saw the block shot, the chase down. I was like, oh man, they really gave him some respect not calling a foul on that one. And then I saw the replay. I was like, that was pretty good. That's
pretty good block shot.
That's a pretty good play. And then, the steal too, then it's like, okay, well, now they're not going to give him the respect, and they challenge it. It's like, that was pretty good too. Like, this guy's a menace out there. So yeah, I mean, like I think to me, it's not a huge surprise, right? That like Smart, when he gets to the postseason, like the rest of the Celtics, right? Like once you get to the moment that you've kind of been waiting for all season, it's like, okay, like, kind of everybody seems healthy. Everybody seems good to go. It's not a huge surprise that Smart's coming out, really, really focused on the defensive end. I thought he and Derek White, I actually think, like, when you look at Jayson Tatum, right, and the matchup nightmare that he is offensively for the Hawks, Smart is kind of that on the other end for this, like, for the Hawks, like that guy who can switch and guard, 5 different positions, that guy who can break up lob plays, the guy who can harass Trae Young, the guy who can play this really impressive free safety role and just kind of roam around and wreak havoc. Like that, I don't think it should be some kind of huge surprise, that he's really ready to go for the postseason, and especially that he's ready to go for the Hawks, because like the Hawks really rely on their, they really rely on their guard play. Smart is an excellent guard defender, but more importantly, he's a switchable kind of guy who can do a bunch of different things. And I think, that kind of versatility, while also primarily guarding your best players, that's tough for a team like the Hawks that's really driven offensively, by the people that Smart, when he's not switched and when he's not cross-matched at all, by the people that Smart will be guarding anyway, and by the people that Derek White will be guarding anyway. So,
we saw right away in this play. I think the Celtics all season long have been an offense first team. This has been a like Missoula ball. It's been 5-out spacing, some cuts, especially when Jaylen Brown is cutting back door for Martin. How many times is Jaylen Brown going to catch that play over and over? They just run it at will, him and Smart. But anyway,
can I interject on that really quick?
Go.
That play fascinates me because at some point teams are going to kind of start to catch on. Like, okay, Jaylen likes to go back door. I mean, it's such a simple play. Like they will catch on to it. I'm fascinated to see what the counter to that will then be, because I think it's going to be good for the Celtics. Like whatever they figure out when teams start to like, okay, I got to sag back a little bit. It's like, is that just an open 3 in the corner for Jaylen? Like what how does that's kind of develop? I'm very interested to see how that goes.
Basically, it's Jaylen like jab step. The guy's got to turn, and then he just steps back, and catches the pass. And then what you do is either that guy's going to react and close out, and you up fake and drive, and you're just still kind of in the same place. It just takes you another step, or you shoot it. So it's a recognition. It's not that they sniff out the play, but I think every defender, when you see Jaylen go to that right corner and Smart's got the ball, you're like, oh, watch out for the back door. Really, what should be happening is the weak side should be coming, sucking in a little bit. So in case he goes back door, he can come in and help. But then all that is, we've seen Jaylen make this play. He made it actually the beginning of the game here. That weak side guy sucks in, Jaylen gets the ball and just kicks it out to the corner for a 3.
Right.
So it's just a read and react, and they just nail it. But anyway, the Celtics have been an offense first team all season long. Now I feel like they have this opportunity. They keep saying, "Oh, we hang our hat on defense," and it's always been complete BS. They never they defend after they score. Now I think they can actually be a defense first team. Now I think this is a team that can go into the playoffs here and shut teams down. They held the Hawks, that offense that I was talking about, to 99 points. Yeah. In today's NBA, to hold a team to 99 points in a playoff game especially, I mean, that's really impressive. And it started with Jaylen right away. Yeah. First play, first pass of the game. He's guarding DeJounte Murray in the right corner. He sees the pin down coming. The timing from the Hawks was actually kind of not great, which allowed Jaylen to make this play. But that's what good defense is. They're not really on point. You make them pay for it. Murray doesn't wait for the screen. That screen is kind of telegraphed. The pass is kind of lazy, and Jaylen's like, sure, I'll take that, and I'll go down the other end and I'll score. So that they set the defensive tone early, and they kept that defensive tone the whole night.
I will push back slightly on the idea that it's complete BS that the Celtics hang their hat on the defensive. I mean, they're the number 2 defense, number 2 defensive rating in the NBA. It's quite
sure.
They're not quite last year's team, obviously, but like 110.6 defensive rating. The only team that was better was the Cavs, who were like the best defense in the league all season. Like, I don't think it's, and actually, I also think when you look at kind of the trajectory of the season, right? Like the Celtics at the start of the season, obviously, at that point, there was almost no defense. They really weren't playing much defense, and they didn't really have to because they were making everything that they hoisted from 3-point range. So it's like, why do I have to defend when I'm shooting 90% from 3? But like as the season went on, it did kind of feel like they kind of reverted back to who they were last year, which was, a really solid defensive team that could kind of eat you up with a bunch of different looks. But to your point, though, I mean, they certainly defended a lot better when their shots were going in. That was unquestionably a trend throughout the season.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not saying that they weren't good defensively. I'm just saying that they were focused on the offensive side first.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like everything was geared towards, let's get the scoring. Let's figure that out. And then once you score, you lock down, you defend, rebound, and all of that stuff. But regardless, I feel like it can kind of flip a little bit. I think we're just going to see more defense first games out of these guys. I just feel like, especially if Marcus is going to be doing this, if he's going to be delivering on that promise of, hey, I realized that I wasn't up to my standard, then, and in the playoffs, I'm going to be better. That's basically He said that to me. I think he said that to Himmelsbach. I think he said it to Chris Forsberg. Everybody asked, and he said kind of the same thing. So that's kind of like the stock answer from him. I get it. I wasn't my best. I'm going to be better in the playoffs. And here he is. And you already have, so Jaylen is a good defender. You've got Jayson doing some things defensively, obviously. When they're connected, that first half was just a brilliant display, both sides. Yeah. When you can get out there and attack, and these guys attacked the basket all night long. It was just, and a lot of it is because they were getting out into transition all night long. So I thought it was just defense. And that's really great to see, because I thought that this team might just come in and try to put up 130 points. But if you're holding teams to 100, and this is only one game, there's not a lot other teams can do about this. All right, let's get back and talk about some individual performances, because I think the Celtics had some really, just really good ones across the board. First, let's talk about FanDuel, the official sports book of the Locked On Podcast Network. And a lot of you in Massachusetts are just signing up for your sports betting because Massachusetts just legalized it recently. FanDuel.com/lockedon is where you need to go, because when you sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon, you place your first bet, you get $1,000 back in bonus bets if that first bet doesn't win. So if you saw the Hawks plus 10, you said, give me the points. I feel like this Celtics team's going to play down to them. Give me the points. And Celtics ended up covering 10 points. Hey, no problem. You get $1,000 back in bonus bets because that first bet didn't win. So that goes for all of your new customers on that no sweat first bet. You got to sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. It's just, hey, if you're going to do it at FanDuel. It's an official partner of Major League Baseball, of the NBA, and the Locked On Podcast Network. Just ask you, if you're going to gamble, please gamble responsibly. Let's bring Tom back in here. I think we've gone 2 segments, haven't mentioned Derek White except for like in passing, and that one. Derek White had just a huge game for the Celtics. What do you? Let me just get my good old box score up here. 24 points. At one point, he was the Celtics' leading scorer until the end of the fourth quarter. Derek White was awesome. He shot better than 50%. Jaylen, 29 points, 12 rebounds, which is huge. 25 points, 11 rebounds for Jayson Tatum. I thought the Celtics, even though they gave up 14 offensive rebounds, I thought they rebounded well.
Yeah.
They did give up 10 more shots than they got. But I think if they do this, if they have the same level of rebounding effort and just clean up the 3 or 4 possessions where the Hawks got multiple offensive rebounds, then they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking for an excuse to bring Derek White up earlier, and obviously did not pull it off. But I thought he was so good, and I also thought like it was funny because he really kind of established. I know I'm gonna be picking on him this whole series, just like the Celtics are. But Trae Young, like the first 4 baskets that Derek White scored were all
sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm interrupting you because I'm laughing because I know you've been itching to just crap all over Trae Young. So I'm sorry I had to interrupt because I want everybody to understand how long Tom has wanted.
I texted you last week about this. I put together a whole clip of the Celtics just knocking him around.
Yeah, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Continue your decimation of Trae Young.
No, nobody could decimate Trae Young better than Derek White did on his first 4 baskets of the game, where I'm like, and I mean, they were all just like, you go back and watch them. First one's a pick and roll. Trae Young gets lost. And Derek White hits a 3. He had another one that was exactly like that. He had another one where he just kind of rolled to the basket and Trae didn't have any idea where to be. And then he had one where he just went right into Trae Young's chest, and Trae Young is really skinny and can't really defend. So it's, and it's like, I mean, there's, I don't know what did I say that's inaccurate? You're laughing.
No, I'm laughing. it's accurate, Tom.
Yeah.
It's just the biting nature of the way you're saying accurate
I'm
things.
not even trying to be biting. I'm just listing things that happened. It's like, but yeah, like Derek White, like he could have a really big series because when you look at that Celtics starting lineup, who else is Trey going to guard? And like,
Yeah.
that's tough, man. I mean, I guess you could put him on Smart, but like, I don't even know if you want to do that because Smart like sees Trey Young and is like, I would like to post up now. Like, is that the
Yeah.
kind of energy that you want
Yeah.
Trey Young to have to expend? Is like trying to push a guy out of the
Well,
post?
they did get an early turnover from Jayson Tatum trying to feed Smart
Yeah.
posting up
Yeah.
Trey Young. So,
Which, okay,
I mean, that
maybe
would be
that's
my only
yeah,
strategy.
maybe that's the strategy.
The only strategy you have as the Hawks is to say, Trey, you are on Marcus Smart. Do not leave Marcus Smart. We're going to try to get Marcus Smart to take all the shots.
Right.
And, but, okay. So Tatum's like, sure, fine. You want to do that? Go play over there. I can switch on to DeJounte Murray and roast him mercilessly because that's what the first half was, especially the first quarter. I was a little surprised at how easy he was able to do it, but you don't realize the size difference until they're right there. And he was not. Tatum was not trying to pick on Trey Young.
No,
he intentionally went after DeJounte Murray over and over and over again, which is demoralizing because the whole reason they got him was we need a defender in the backcourt with Trey Young, and now Tatum's just roasting him.
There was a play from the second time the Celtics played the Hawks where Tatum like got the switch, got DeJounte Murray on him, passed out of it really quickly so that he could go do that like pass out and post up thing. They passed back to Tatum. DeJounte kind of pushed him as Tatum was trying to get some like leverage. And Tatum did one of those like big exaggerated, like, oh, come on steps where he doesn't actually go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like that kind of like, that kind of, oh, my little brother, stop pushing me in the back, little guy. Okay, all right, now I got it. And then he went right through DeJounte Murray and scored. It's like, yeah, you're right. Like Tatum doesn't need Trey Young on him to have just like a massive mismatch. He doesn't need DeJounte Murray on him to have a massive mismatch. He could just have John Collins, who can't who doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the
no chance.
The only guy who can really do anything about Tatum in this series is Clint Capella at the rim, right? Like that's kind of the one thing that Tatum can't do quite as well. All of that is a long way of saying that like Derek White, Derek White's got that big mismatch. He's probably going to keep having it. Marcus Smart might get it, and then he can just exhaust him. And then, like you said, on the other end, it's like DeJounte plays better against Jaylen. Like Jaylen's not quite as tall, I think, as Tatum, which is just kind of the difference there. But like, when it's Tatum against DeJounte Murray, it's as good as anybody else against Trey Young. Really, like it's just a lot of mismatches that the Celtics are just going to be able to keep picking on all series.
Yeah. I think the one thing that this game has taught us is the initial analysis is completely dead on. Everything that everybody thought that their defense is hot garbage. You cannot stop the Celtics. The only thing that stopped the Celtics in this game was the Celtics in the third and fourth quarters when they just stopped playing hard and they went a little too isolation. And like I said, even then they still recovered and had the lead up to 20 in the fourth quarter. So they just kind of floated in that mid-teen to 20-point lead. And so if the Celtics really wanted to put forth that full effort, then they could have won this by 30. I do think now my expectations change because of the way the second half went. I think this is kind of how each game's going to go. Maybe not 30-point halftime lead, but I feel like the Celtics are going to build a lead, kind of relax, kind of hold them off a little bit. And maybe in Atlanta for that first game, we're going to see the reason why I say Celtics in 5 is because that first game in Atlanta, the second chance opportunities that they missed in Boston, they're going to hit. They're going to hit those shots. They're going to get hot, and maybe they are able to maintain that throughout the entire course of the game. But even then, I'm not even 100% sure if I give them that full. I don't know if they can hold the Celtics in check at all for an entire game. Maybe the Hawks take a 20-point lead and lose by 5. Or something like that. I can see that happening. And we're talking about this. Al Horford had some nice shots, and he did things. I don't want to say he did nothing, but Al Horford only scored 6
He
points.
took 4 shots.
4 shots, all 3-pointers, and hit 2 of them. He rebounded well. He had a couple of assists. He hit as many shots as he did timeout taunts to Quinn Snyder. So Al Horford hasn't had a big game yet. Well, it's only game 1. He hasn't had a big game. He didn't have a big game. He didn't contribute to this. Smart only had the 11 points. Robert Williams had 12, but came off the bench, played almost 22 minutes, had a more defensive impact than anything else. So you can get more out of him. And Malcolm Brogdon had a bad game.
Yep.
Malcolm had a 1 for 6 night.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff is still with 2 of your main guys, Horford and Brogdon, especially, not really doing much, not contributing much to the final score. So this is exactly what we expected. Game 1, Celtics cruise. Tatum was great. Jaylen was great. The hand. Oh, by the way, the hand, the stitches in his hand. He said it kind of opened up again and started to bleed, I guess, and had to change out the Band-Aid on that. But other than that, I don't know, whatever. It's a cut. It's a cut. It'll bleed. It'll as long as you keep it together, they'll fix it. Not a big deal. I don't know. Anything else?
I mean, just minor things, right? Like Grant Williams didn't play. Like that's but like not a huge surprise. Like this isn't really his matchup, right? Like,
I wonder if you said that Hauser kind of has burned the Hawks before. I wonder if they're going to keep going to that, or maybe they'll try Grant. There's be maybe a little bit of an adjustment there.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that. But I mean, other than that, I mean, really, like you said, this is what we expected. We expected the Celtics to win these. I mean, I picked Hawks, or I picked Celtics in 5. I don't know, man. I feel like I might have been a little generous with my like giving them the jump and sleep. I'm like, but we'll see. I mean, I think it's like the second half, and it's like what you said earlier. If the Celtics lose a game in this series, it's going to be because the Celtics lost a game in this series. It's not going to be because Atlanta beat them. I don't feel like I don't like it's going to be because Tatum, had one of his like 5 for 23 nights or something like that. It's not going to be because it's not going to be because the Hawks were the superior team for an evening.
Nothing in this game 1 made me say, ooh, watch that. Watch that for game 2. We'll see if they have it. People talk about Quinn Snyder and Joe Mazzulla and the coaching matchup, and are you afraid of that coaching matchup? Like, what's Quinn Snyder going to do? What is, unless he can somehow pull Dominique Wilkins out of the broadcast booth, send him back 40 years to the human highlight film and get him in the game, there's nothing that, like, Dominique Wilkins is probably the best Hawks player on the floor. Like that's where I'm at right now. No, seriously, I nothing in this game makes me think the Hawks have an adjustment to make. Nothing in this game makes me think the Celtics aren't double-digit winners whenever they decide to play well, even for 3/4 of the game. And I think that Celtics defense is so good when it's locked in like this that, Rob was flying around. Rob had that one block shot. Who was it? Johnson that came down. Poor guy. Like, he goes down the right side. He gets the ball. He turns. He sees Rob on the other side of the restricted circle. And he probably thinks, okay, I got a lane here. And Rob comes over like in a blink and blocks it with like his forearm and almost cuffs it out of the air. They have no chance against a fully engaged Celtics team. And that's my big takeaway from this game. Game 1 shows me this: the Hawks have no chance.
And like when you go down the list of Celtics defenders and you see like that everybody looks healthy now, I mean, that is a scary bunch of defenders. Because I mean, you look back at last year in the playoffs, like Rob was not healthy. Rob wasn't even close to healthy in the playoffs.
Yeah, he was dragging that leg
he
around.
was, and like, yeah, if Smart has kind of shaken off some of the stuff that was troubling him, like physically earlier in the year. Derek White is, I mean, like, he's the reigning defensive player of the year, and he's been the second best defender at his position on this team this year. Like, Derek White's been better than him. Like, that's crazy. Like, Derek White's going to be the one who gets all defense first team. So, I mean,
absolutely.
I honestly, I kind of like a lot of pieces on this Hawks team. I just like them as sort of like a rebuilding team more than I like them as a real team. Like, I like Jaylen Johnson. I like DeJounte Murray. I like, Sadiq Bey. I really like Onyeka Okongwu. Like, I like some guys on this team, but I just don't.
Together like this?
Not like this.
No,
yeah.
No. It's not good. And I mean, it really is. I mean, you got a lack of size in the backcourt. There's just that backcourt against Marcus Smart. Yeah. If Marcus Smart is an offensive mismatch, you're screwed. If we're talking about Marcus Smart as actual, like, oh geez, you don't want to have him posting up, which you actually don't, because Marcus Smart is actually pretty good in the post. Yeah. I like some of it. He had a nice little turnaround bank shot. That's money. I'll have Marcus Smart take that shot any day. But if you're still looking at Smart and saying, yeah, that's a mismatch in the wrong, then what do you do when Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum are coming at you? But you're right. There are good players. There is talent on this team. But the Hawks might be the one of the poster teams for just having a bunch of talented guys doesn't make you a good team. And they just we can save more Trae Young talk for it, because they don't play on they don't play until Tuesday again. So we'll have a lot more. I watched the game again, and we'll have a lot more Trae Young slander.
Yeah,
because that's a lot of fun.
It is fun, man. Also, like, it's like the Celtics are like the Celtics are going to win this series in 6 now. Like, we did this post game pod. Like, we talked all this trash.
Oh yeah,
they're going to lose 2 games now. Like, this is
okay. I don't even. First of all, I don't believe in jinxes. Okay, yeah. But even if I'm
not talking about a jinx. I'm talking about them specific. I feel like they will specifically do it to make us look stupid. But
okay, yeah. It's possible. It's possible that they'll pass this around in the locker room and be like, "Hey, these guys believe in us so much. Watch this." I think Tatum would literally have to play drunk for them to lose 2 games, and even then, I'm not so sure.
Even then, it
I think
depends if it was
freer and looser.
Yeah, it depends if it was like hard liquor or something like kind of heavier in his stomach.
Yeah. Like how drunk really is he? Like 4 drinks in, or is he like falling asleep on the bench?
Right.
But even then, Malcolm's going to step in. Like, it's just, I do feel like we've been extraordinarily dismissive of the Hawks, but God, they're just, when you come out and have something to prove and you don't prove any of it, I'm sorry. Like, there was no, I mean, you could say, okay, well, hey, they fought, they came back. Like, okay, but there's literally none of what they wanted to shows me anything. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be overly disrespectful to the Hawks. I'm just looking at it objectively and saying they don't have anywhere on this team where they have an advantage. There's just no advantage for them at all here. And there can be an outlier game where they shoot 50% from 3 and the Celtics shoot 25% from 3 and the Celtics lose. But it would have to be, aside from something catastrophic where, it changes the entire direction of the, if these guys who played today played the entire series,
desk is made out of wood. I'm knocking on it for you.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. I sound like Mr. Burns in the softball episode. Is like 2 misfortunes, possible. 3 misfortunes, maybe. 4 misfortunes. outside chance, but 9 separate misfortunes? Well, I'd like to see that. Oh, I would actually not like to see 9 misfortunes. I'd like to see the Celtics wrap this up in 4 games and be done with it. And then maybe the Miami Heat can do something stupid and help the Celtics by taking Milwaukee to like 6 games or whatever. I don't know. All right, Tom. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for hopping on. Appreciate all of you who watched, listened, whatever, on this Saturday night / Sunday morning, whenever you're getting this. Thank you for subscribing. If you're new and you're still here, then hopefully you're going to subscribe to the podcast. Watch the show on YouTube. Hop into the comments section. Celebrate this win. I don't think many Hawks fans are going to be coming into the comment section. So, but if they do, roast them. That's some fun trash talk. So do that and share the podcast. Tell your friends and everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.